Welcome to Through the Lens of Astrology. I'm your host, Heather Ariel, and we are still celebrating Aries season. So we just had the spring equinox, and it's such a big deal in Western astrology because that is the beginning of the entire Western zodiac. We talked about this last week, that the Western zodiac is seasonal. Okay, so yeah, the sun is in Aries, but it's not just a new zodiac sign. It's a new season. And if you missed last week's episode, then please check out my social media, Heather Ariel's House of Astrology. You can check out my Facebook page, YouTube, my Instagram, and you can, um, I talked a little bit more about the spring equinox, the importance of that. We did a wonderful spring equinox oracle card spread to help us bring in the fiery and fearless energy of Aries. So you can, and that's up on all the social media. So tomorrow, I was okay. So today is Thursday, and tomorrow on Friday, April 1st, it's a new moon in Aries. So yeah, we're going to double down in Aries. And you know how I like to, whenever we have a new moon, I like to do my original new moon oracle card spread. So it just helps us to be extra present and take advantage of those wonderful new moon energies. We get them every month for 2 weeks. And so I always like to say, okay, what can we do to help connect to those energies so we make the most of it? So yeah, we're going to do that today. And then we're going to talk about some things. I always like to bring in what's going on in the world, right? Because we're all pretty much following that and aware of it. And then I like to say, okay, let's look at it through the lens of astrology. And there have been a lot of freedom of speech issues this week. That's really dear to my heart. A couple of weeks ago, I even talked about the astrology of what is the freedom of speech and how it is built in to the natal chart of the US. So it is a really important part, obviously, of what it is to be an American and, of all this. So that's another reason why I talk about it, because it's so important to what's going on. So just remember, with freedom of speech, when we talk about freedom, we talk about we talk about Sagittarius energy, we talked about Aquarius energy. And then when we talk about speech, we look to Mercury, right? Because Mercury is all about communication. How do we communicate? And then Mercury is connected to Gemini, it's connected to Virgo energy. So then in these issues, all of those energies are elevated, and a lot of those energies, Sag and Gemini, well, they're prominent in the US birth chart. And there are also, a lot of people who get elected have this. A lot of people who are politicians who really rise, they, especially become president, they often have some of this energy in their chart because, that energy needs to complement. The more it complements the US chart, the more authentic they feel to this country, because we talk about business charts and event charts. So, okay. And right now, remember, we got Sun in Aries, and because of the new moon tomorrow, April 1st, we're going to have, so that's going to be sun moon in the same sign. That's what a new moon is. And full moon is when the moon opposes the sun, right? In 2 weeks. So right now they're coming together. And then we've got the love planets, Venus and Mars, still in Aquarius. And you can also check out the last couple of episodes if you want to know, because I talk about Venus and Mars and Aquarius going through different houses in your chart. If you want to know how that's impacting you on a personal way, you can check that out. So remember, Aquarius is air. It's intellectual reform energy. Air is really thinking, ideas. And then Aries is fire. So Aquarius, I just said it right. Aquarius is air, intellectual air. Aries is fire. Okay. And you think about the air fuels fire. So they love to go together. They complement each other. And Aries picks up the pace no matter what. Well, when we have planets in air, it's just like, oh, we're going to go a little bit. You talk about getting a zip in your zippity doodah, zip in your step. It picks up the pace. So Aries is very fast moving. So the new moon in Aries we're going to double down. We're going to get even faster. It is fearless, and it is the energy of fighting. It is warrior energy. It is connected to Mars, and Mars is warrior energy. Mars loves to be in Aries. So when planets are in Aries, yeah, it's conflicts are a little bit, uh, everybody feels a little bit more like, well, this is what I think. I'm going to put my hat in the ring. Okay. We get a little bit more energy to do that. So that's energy for all of us to embrace. And if you want to look at your natal chart, you just need your birth time, right? The more exact, I mean, day, month, and year. But if you can get your exact time, that's gonna give you your rising sign. Because remember, we have the different houses in astrology, and you're going to want to find, well, where is Aries in your chart? Because that's going to represent an area where you're going to want to be as fearless as you're comfortable being, but it also represents an area where you're probably going to need to fight. Yeah, for, fight for that, right? And if you have planets in Aries, I always say, guess what? It's your time to shine, and it's your time to step up to the plate and contribute your talents to the group. So right now, Aries is very highlighted, but also we've got those Aquarius planets, and we got Jupiter in Pisces, loves to be in Pisces. So uh, you know, when the energy is in your sign, we need you to do a little bit more. Because remember, there's the beautiful evolution of astrology. One sign transmutes, blends into the next. There's evolution. And so you want to make sure whatever project you're involved in, whatever relationship you're involved in, that your step is not skipped, that you contribute your talents. And so that's why I always remind people, hey, okay, it's Aries season. So we really need you. Make sure that people are, that if you got to fight for somebody, and we can fight with or we can fight for, right? And sometimes we end up fighting with someone because we're thinking we're fighting for someone. And that's a little complicated. But yeah, so let's talk about that. So, okay, so before we do the Oracle card spread, a couple of things. One, you know, uh, well, Biden and Will Smith, I've been thinking about because they both did things that people are talking about, and does involve uh, what we say and words. Words are so important, and that falls under the freedom of speech. So, Biden gave a wonderful speech. He was talking. He went to Poland. He went. He had his European trip, and he then said at the end of the speech, he just said, Biden can't stay. I mean, Putin can't stay in power. Okay, he said that, and it was like, oh my gosh. Okay, it was like, oh, is this policy? What's going on here? And I wanted to bring it up because, and then it was wonderful on, if you caught Morning Joe, when Joe Scarborough really talked about this, and he's like, hey, are you kidding me? Let's look back at what Reagan did, okay? Because Reagan was very blunt, right? And there's a similarity, and um, they both have Sagittarius energy. I've talked about this. Now, Reagan also had Aquarius, okay? And it deals with but Sag deals with a bluntness and honesty, and there's a directness, and we want presidents who have that. It's the US chart is Sagittarius rising. Okay. We want that. And it's also a belief. It's speaking from a belief. It's blunt honesty of, I believe this. He was sharing a belief. That's what he was doing. Okay. That's what Sagittarius are supposed to do. And we want that level of honesty. And Reagan would throw things around like that too. And he was being honest. So, it just made me think of, how it's connected to what it is to be American with the US chart, and and why are we being so critical of that? And then Amna Avaz, okay, a wonderful journalist. You can catch her on PBS NewsHour with Judy Woodruff. She said, we got to be hyper vigilant right now. This is such a tense time. We are so polarized. Words matter. And we have to remember that words just matter so much. You could just give the most thoughtful, eloquent, essay or lecture, and then you give a throwaway comment, and it's like, it becomes everything. And she had a really good point in that in this time, we have to be, it's just like walking on eggshells right now. And words are so important, right? And they're banning books, right? And which I'm totally opposed to, okay, because I'm a writer. I'm like, yeah, let's not do that. So, there's starting to be restrictions, right? On what we can say. And, in communist countries, when dictators take over, the first people who they line up and execute, they line up the intellectuals, they line up the artists, they line up people who have excellent communication skills, people who work in ideas, because they understand that one of the most important things you can possess, is to be able to think and to express yourself with words, because that's how powerful communication is. So, that's why I'm always saying thoughts are things. Honor your thoughts, connect to them, do your best to communicate your truth, and you can have a huge impact, even if you have no money, even if you don't have resources. And it's like the expression, yeah, sticks and stones can break my bones, but words can never hurt. No, words can destroy you, or words can empower you. So, the events of this week made me think about these things a lot. So, then okay, just to talk a little bit more, to blend in a little bit more of the U.S. chart, the foundational energy of the chart is in Aries. Okay, Sun is in Aries. It's activating. It's activating that. And anytime, so that means also, it reminded me of something that happened, something that Eddie Glaude said. Okay, so Eddie Glaude is a professor at Princeton, and I just saw him last night with Bob Woodward. They were on Lawrence O'Donnell. And, Bob Woodward said, okay, democracy is an idea. And I was like, yeah, okay, yeah, I'll go with that. And then Eddie Glaude said, but it's an idea that we need to fight for. And I was like, oh, that's so Aries. Okay, I'm in line with that. And it's astrologically supported, because Aries is at the foundation of the US chart. So through the lens of astrology, guess what? We do have to fight for democracy. It's built into the chart. So that means we have to constantly be going back to the original, to the founding fathers, right? To all of the original principles. And we got to constantly fight for them. It's built into the chart. Yeah. And yeah, so that was really amazing to see that. I just saw that last night. Yeah, so it was like, oh, okay. So that's why anytime these things happen, let's look at them and let's say, well, what can we do? And how can we, say, okay, let's go back and say we want to have the freedom. We don't want to ban books. What can we do here? Because Sag is about blending differences, right? All these issues of immigrants and refugees leaving Ukraine, and going into Poland, and it's like we're built on differences. The Sag rising is blending, and if we can't blend, let's coexist. And we also have to remember, it's like not everybody wants to be American. It's like what Marie, oh my gosh, I wrote her name down. She was the ambassador to Ukraine. I got to get her name right. Oh my gosh. Yovanovitch. Oh my gosh. Did I write her name down? I saw an interview with her. Where did I see that? That was maybe with John Dickerson on Face the Nation. Okay. Yovanovitch. Okay. Marie Yovanovitch. Okay. Anyway, she mentioned that the immigrants going into Poland, right? And it's like that they don't necessarily want, like, it's like people who flee, you know, they don't want to assimilate in the new country. They want to stay in Ukraine, right? It's like Cubans, they didn't want to come here in the 1960s. They fled and they didn't want to assimilate. They're like, okay, as soon as we get this fixed, we're going to go back to Cuba, So it's like we have to really, you know, embrace differences, respect differences, right? And learn how to blend and learn how to coexist, right? Because that's part of it. It's like immigrants are, a wonderful, well, they're the backbone of the country, right? I mean, it's like that's what it's, and it's built into the Sag. But it just made me think of that. And we need to have not a narrow viewpoint. Okay. So when we're looking at, it's an idea that we have to fight for. And that's so Aries. And I love that. Now, okay, so all right, it's an idea we have to fight for. Now, when we look at, what happened with Will Smith and Chris Rock, because these are two people that I love, like I followed, I talk about Will Smith's movies all the time. I mean, his movies changed me. Okay. I talk about that. And then Chris Rock is hilarious. And I followed him for, decades. All right. So he made a joke, right, about Jada Pinkett Smith, uh, about the way she looked, right? And then Will Smith took offense at that and slapped him. Okay, but let's just break this down a little bit because I feel like there's a lot of, and I want to use like the Trevor Noah metric that I use now. He did a show where he talks about, when we really try to say, when we put somebody in a category when they do something, to say, oh, this person is racist, this person is violent, this person is sex. Just before we do that, like when I look at something, before I like cross somebody off a list, right? Use the metric of what do they do consistently and consciously? Okay. And now he was talking about Joe Rogan. Okay. And but in this case, it really made me think of it's like, let's look deeper at this because I mean, it even reminded me of an Eminem song. Eminem wrote in one of his songs, Will Smith don't have to cuss to sell records, but I do. So, F him and F you. Okay. So it's like, I mean, this is, Will Smith is like just the most beautiful person, full of love. He even said in his speech, he's a vessel of love, right? Okay. So we have to look more closely when somebody like that with a beautiful Libra sun, and Libra energy is needed right now. It's interesting because I've got the cards from the Oracle messages from the equinox spread. We got the Libra card, okay? And we also got the Aries card. And I just looked up Chris Rock's chart. If it's correct, sometimes this information is not right, but if it's correct, then he's got Aquarius sun with Aries rising. And I just thought, oh, they're both needed. Isn't that something? Both of these people's energies are needed right now. So what does that mean? How do they both contribute? Well, one, like when we look at Will Smith, he's got the Libra sun and a Scorpio moon. We need to be aware Biden's got that Scorpio. When you have Scorpio in your chart, not only the words you speak, okay, but the actions you take carry more power, which people don't realize. Okay, so if you got Scorpio, be aware that everything you say and do is a little bit more powerful than when you don't have it. Okay. And two, you got to be aware when you're talking to a Scorpio or making fun of a Scorpio or making fun of a Scorpio's wife, if they've got that, you're gonna feel it a little bit more as well. And so this is another way of how to use astrology of like understanding, what's going on. Now, there's also, tipping points. So I want to say this because I'm actually doing something today. Like I'm actually in solidarity right now with Jada Pinkett Smith because it turned out she has alopecia, which I didn't know. And, when Chris Rock made the joke about G.I. Jane, I was like, okay, Demi Moore. Oh, she's a soul. Maybe she's really buff, because like she looks great. I'm like, oh, maybe her. And I'm like really flabby. So I'm like, oh, maybe it's her arms. I was like trying to look at her arms, like, oh, is she really buff? Because G.I. Jane, Demi Moore, that was like, she had to be like, whoo, in really good condition for that role. And then it was like, oh, it's the haircut. And then it was like, oh my God, it's alopecia, a medical condition. So I wasn't following, the behind the scenes of all that. But I have alopecia on my eyebrows. Okay. So and I didn't do my eyebrows today. So I'm like, you know what? In solidarity, I'm not coloring in my eyebrows today. Solidarity with Jada Pinkett Smith. And I also have rosacea, which, is like kind of under control right now. But I mean, I can be beet red, and I just have to say, like, absolutely, you don't hit people, right? And I'm not saying you should be hitting Chris Rock for saying that, but it's absolutely horrible to make fun of the way a middle-aged woman looks, especially when it's a medical condition, because I've had it done to me. You know, I've had my eyebrows constantly like, it's like, I can't do anything about that really, you know? And my rosacea, sometimes I am just beet red, you know? And I've been told, well, you got to stop using so much blush. And it's like, blush? Yeah, I don't use blush. Okay. Yeah, I don't have to do that. So, and this is why I'm just going back to words. Words matter. And so you also have to realize that if we're going to do those words because of systemic sexism, right? It's women's looks and are so equated with their value. They shouldn't be, but they are, and I just saw a clip with Tyra Banks, and she was just saying she's this wonderful businesswoman, and she's like, but people just see her as this gorgeous supermodel, and she had to work, so much harder for that. So it's like, if you're beautiful, then it's like, okay, as long as you make your money being beautiful, then it's okay, but then you're not going to be taken seriously, right? And then if once you're no longer in your 30s, it's like, well, what's your value, right? You're going to be, I just saw a little bit of a Catwoman, and Sharon Stone, looking just absolutely perfect, is replaced by a younger model, and you're just kind of like looking who's replacing her, in the movie, and you're just like, yeah, this is a crazy world. But that's what goes on. That's what goes on. And so, you know, um, so it's like you have to, so on both sides, that there's a tipping point, because I can say certain people have really used their words to criticize my looks, and it's devastating. And then somebody who comes along, I've had this happen, and that's just the first time maybe that they made fun of my looks. But that's the time I yelled. I didn't end up yelling at the person who's just like, oh, over and over. I yelled at the person who did it the first time. So I'm just saying, like, whenever these things happen, there's always like, there's a tipping point where it's like, it's not that Chris Rock has been like, it's like he said it, and it's like, how many other people have maybe, like this has been something when somebody has something like this. And it's like, it's that time that does it where you're just like, I just can't take it anymore, you know? So we have to look at tipping points. We have to look at, things like that. Now, Will Smith apologized, right? And Chris Rock he's processing. I know he'll give a really thoughtful, because he's so articulate, he's going to give a thoughtful response. And he was so, I saw something where he said he did therapy, and he came from a violent background, and he has problems expressing anger. So I'm like, whew. I mean, this is when you have two such intelligent, talented people in this kind of experience. By talking about it more, we can actually bring to light some. That's why I'm talking about it, because it's not black and white. I feel like there's a lot going on there, right? And that, yeah, we don't hit people, but we have to understand also, if we're gonna really criticize a middle-aged woman's looks with a who has a medical condition, and I'm in that boat, and it's devastating. Personally, it's just devastating to me when that happens to me. Okay. So, you know, there are going to be repercussions, right? It's like, well, maybe don't make a joke like that. There are so many other things you can make a joke about with the systemic sexism. Let's not do that. So that's going to make him maybe think twice. Maybe it's not, right? But let's talk about this and what that is. So, so anyway, that got me thinking about a lot of things. So yeah, okay, I got no eyebrows today. And if I'm around hot lights long enough, yeah, you'll see how red I can get. Okay, so let's go ahead. Yeah, let's go ahead and start this new moon oracle card spread. And let's think about fighting. Oh yeah, the other thing I want to say, but he was fighting for his wife. He was fighting, and he gave in the speech. He even talked about, I want to. He said he wants to be a vessel of love. Will Smith. He said he wants to protect people. And he pointed out women. He pointed out the young actresses in the show. He pointed out, I want to protect you. I want to protect you. And that's also, people do need protection. People say, oh, that's sexist. No, it's not. Bill Maher did a whole thing about, like, we got to, like, and I do want to celebrate. It is, talking about this. It is, Transgender Visibility Day. Okay. So this is wonderful. And all the ideas of, she and he and they, everything's changing. And so, but we need, women to protect women, women to protect men, men to protect women. We need people to stand up for people and to protect them. Right. So I connected when he was giving that speech, and that we have to understand where some of these things come from, right? And we don't know the history and all that. So there's always just, you know, so much going on with that, but to look, but okay. Now, okay, so with the new moon spread, now for this spread, okay, and here's the Aries card, I'll just show you. I am using, this is an oracle card deck that I created with artist Tom Cummins. Okay, and you can get this. You can get this on Amazon. You can get this on my websites, on my social media. And so for this one, because we have categories, I don't use all the cards in the deck. You will need to put them into categories and use this. Okay, but be creative. You can adapt. You can adapt things. Okay, so the first one, we want to say, okay, if we embrace this element, right? Let's get an element going. Like, what is an element that we can embrace that will just help us really make the most of the really fiery, fearless Aries energy? Okay. 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 Amen. Hello, hello. Fire. Okay. You know what? Well, guess what? That's Aries. That is saying we really need to connect with Aries energy right now. Fire, we got to take actions. That means we got to do things. All right. We can't just, well, I'm going to think about this, or, oh, I feel so much. Oh, you're suffering. I feel for you. Okay, now I'm going to go eat my ice cream. Okay. This is, we got to do things. We got to actively fight for people right now. Actively be fearless. Okay. Huma Abedin. I just saw her. She has a great Aries quote. She was speaking. Oh, yes. Okay. At the Know Your Value, there's a Know Your Value. Okay, so Mika Brzezinski, I always talk about this. She has her Know Your Value brand, and it's all about valuing women. And then it's connected with something that Forbes is doing, and it's connected with International Women's Day in Abu Dhabi. And so they celebrate magnificent women of all ages. And I was just seeing that Huma Abedin, I think I wrote down, she had a wonderful quote. I want to get the quote. When I quote people, man. Oh, do the thing that scares you the most. It will be worth it. Okay. Okay. So we got Aries, we got the fire element, but it's do the thing. Do the thing. And that's a great Aries quote. And even, oh, you know what? I just mentioned Tyra Banks. She had a great quote that's Aries. She said, I'm fighting so you don't have to fight so hard. That's Aries. These quotes are really fitting into what we're doing right now. So, okay, we got to do the thing. We got to do the thing with Aries. Okay, here we go. Okay, now, all right. Now, okay, you know what? I'm going to mix, we're going to pick, what is that? Okay, we're going to mix modalities with planets. Here we go. Modalities with planets. And okay, because I pick extra cards. If you want to do this, I have a planner, which I'll show you. And a lot of the oracle card spreads I do for my show and a lot of the, fun activities I do, they are in my astrological planner that I created with artist Tom Cummins. And then Carolyn Oakley did design Luminous Moon Press. Okay. Now you can look at that for that, but I often do unique adjustments to them because you don't want it to do, I don't want to do the same thing if you can just get it out of the book, right? So I do it a little bit differently. So if you get the book, you'll be like, oh, this is not exactly the way she did that. But that's why, right? It's like when an artist in a concert sings the song a little differently, right? Or does, some different harmonies. That's why, because it's like, well, you can, if you want it the way I do it on the record, listen to the record, right? Yeah. Okay. So here we go. Let's get a planet, a modality. Let's get some energy in. All right. It's going to help us along. Oh, Uranus. Woo. Okay. Well, that adds a dash of excitement. Whoa. Okay. Hey, this is the Great Awakener. All right. This is connected to Aquarius energy. Okay. Uranus, that's the energy of finding alternative, unique ways. It's genius. It's light bulb, epiphany. energies. It is the wild card, okay? And it is like, it's sudden, unexpected energy. So, if we want to embrace it, it means let's be open to alternative, unique ways, and let's honor individual genius. So it could be you have an idea that you feel is just too original, right? Well, we need that approach. Remember, Aquarius is, we contribute to the group, but we contribute in a way that we do not lose our identity. It enhances our identity. Okay. So it's like I may contribute an astrological idea, right? And then somebody else can contribute a more traditional idea, right? So it's like you contribute, but in your own unique way. And that's woo. And this is very strong. To throw this into the mix, that's like a very exciting awakening. Wow. Okay. All right. Now, okay. All right. Let's do. Oh my God. Here we go. Okay. Let's do this. We're going to pick two of these and then we may pick another one. Okay. So let's get a zodiac sign. Now, with the zodiac sign, we want to embrace the energy of that. And this is in general, if you're going to use my deck and you get a zodiac sign, yeah, embrace the energy, but also you want to say, well, do you know people who resonate to that? Because that could be a benefit. Those people could be a benefit to you or could be influencing you for this because it's for the group. And hey, if you're listening on Beacon of Light Radio to the show, or if you're on YouTube watching the video, whether you like it or not, you're part of the group. So these messages are for you. And when we get a zodiac sign for the group, that means anybody in the group who resonates to this energy, you got to step up to the plate and contribute your talents to the group. It means your energy is needed right now. Okay, so let's get a zodiac sign. Okay. Oh yeah, so many good. Oh yeah, they honored Hillary Clinton at the last big International Women's Day, Abu Dhabi. And you know what? I should just say, if you want to know, because they're doing nominations right now. So if you know some fabulous women, you can go to knowyourvalue.com, Forbes.com, and then you can do that. Yeah. I'm a big supporter of that. Okay. All right, here we go. Oh man. Taurus. Oh my gosh. And all this, speaking of Mika Brzezinski. Okay, she's got Taurus. Okay. All right. And you know what? John Oliver. Well, I always thought was Aries. And I looked up his chart and he's got Taurus. He does have, I think, Venus in Aries, but okay. We got Taurus. We haven't had Taurus for a while. Okay, we need you. Taurus is the most connected to the physical world. Okay. So sometimes we're like, ooh, la di da, what's ooh? Taurus is like, all right, hello. Can we like make this a reality? All right, this is Taurus. There's a wonderful practical quality, and this is value. All right, this is what do you value? Can we act? If you're going to combine fire with Taurus, I mean Taurus is Earth, but for the spread, fire complements Taurus. Take actions on your values, right? Make sure you're connecting and you are doing things that are in alignment with your values. This is also financial. Taurus is very good at you can help people make money. You may see somebody do something, say, well, you know what you do has financial value and I'm going to invest in you. Or I'm going to, I think of like Shark Tank. It's like that's kind of what they're doing. They're doing Taurian actions. You got to go up there and say, hey, I got this project, I got this business or whatever. And they're like, I see value in what you're doing and I'm going to invest in you. Okay. That's a Taurian action. So invest in yourself, invest in people, and make people aware because sometimes people don't even understand what they're doing is so valuable, right? Don't assume that they must know that. You can say, you know what? You got to make an app. Oh my God, this is going to be great. Or you've got to do this, you got to do that. Okay. It's like, and I'm going to help you do that. I'm going to invest. So all right. Okay. This is also take care of yourself because Taurus is the indulgent. It's like, go to the spa or, it's like luxuriate, take a bubble bath, it's like, sure, it's also go hike, be in nature as well, but it's indulge the senses, do that cologne, have the right texture, it's design, it's all of the senses. It's, make sure that you're eating something that's like, oh, put that extra spice in. So you're like, so it's really delicious. So you're like, indulge the senses. Wow. Okay. All right. Okay, now, all right, we're going to get, okay, you know what? We're going to hold off on, I'm going to pick, um, we're going to hold off on the house because the area of experience kind of then says, okay, what's an extra area? Let's get, here we go. Another planet or modality. All right. I love Aries energy because it's just, I have a lot of air in my chart and fire just, it gets you going. Now, if you've got a lot of fire in your chart, don't, you don't want to burn up. You want to like pace yourselves, right? So that's why Aries is also be patient. It can be impatient. Yeah. So be patient, but be pioneering. And I just saw, I was thinking of Buster Keaton. I just saw an interview, what David Pogue did an interview with Bill Irwin on Buster Keaton. And he was such a pioneer. He did things for the first time. Like there's that famous, everybody's seen it, where he's standing and a house falls on him, and he's like, he goes through the front door of it, and it's copied everywhere. And it's like Aries is about doing something for the first time, and it's pioneering, and then it gets copied. And then I even saw something, and this happens. Saw something with it's also about how powerful and regenerating art is, right? Like we cannot underestimate ideas or art. I saw an interview with Francis Ford Coppola, and he has a great quote, because it's all about the Godfather, which was so revolutionary. Now he's like, well, yeah, but what's at first shocking becomes standard, doesn't it? But he says art is an ever blossoming flower. And I thought, oh, that's beautiful. And it is, it's true. It's like that's why we have to constantly reconnect. And I can see a movie several times, and depending on how old I am or the experiences, I may identify with a different character. Romulus Linney, a great playwright I talk about, who taught me, he talks about this with Chekhov, that every time he saw a Chekhov play, depending on how old he was, because Chekhov was such a great playwright, Russian playwright, it was, oh, identify with this character. Oh, now I'm with this one. Now I get this one. So allow yourself that luxury to revisit art at different stages in your life. Yeah. And novels too, of course. Okay, here we go. All right. Oh man, I got a lot of Gemini. That's why there's maybe these stream of consciousness, whatever. But that's my Gemini. So that's the way Gemini rolls. The sun. Oh, I'm happy to see this. Okay. The sun is illumination. All right. You can't hide in the sun. All right. The sun, it's like we see things. So it's a little bit easier for all of us to be seen right now. Okay. And it's also, there's a blessing with the sun. It's like we radiate, we're encouraged to shine our light, and we want to celebrate. It's like find reasons to celebrate that there is a path to success. There's a path to celebration right now. You may feel that there's no path to rejuvenation, or that there is. When the sun shows up, there is a path we can take that will allow that. Wow. Okay. That is bringing a lot of different energies to this reading. Oh my goodness. Okay. I'm loving that. Okay. Let's get, oh yeah, you know what? Let's get another zodiac sign, and then we can, yeah, this is good. Okay. Yeah, we have time. Okay. Yeah, I really, I'm always surprised. I never know what's going to come up, and I use these. I take these messages to heart, okay, because I'm part of the group. I'm not above the group. All right, let's get another zodiac sign of energies we can embrace. Okay. Okay. Amen. Woo. Capricorn. Oh my goodness. Okay, that's very different energy. But guess what? Taurus and Capricorn are both earth signs. So that is saying, with all of this fire and with all of the actions, Capricorn and Taurus is kind of saying, yeah, but we gotta make sure things really happen. Okay. We gotta like not just like keep things dreamland of like, oh, wouldn't that be nice? And oh, whoa, and we'll paint it this color, and then we'll do this. And it's like, okay, but we gotta do something. Okay. And we gotta like plan. We gotta put a plan together. We gotta so, yeah, Capricorn is manifesting, serious manifesting. When I was just watching, oh, yeah. I was just, Howard Stern's got a lot of Capricorn. I was just watching a little interview he did with Harry Styles and his amazing rendition of Sledgehammer. Yeah, it's like you just gotta like it's like do something. And then I think, you know what, Blue Origin has a big that's Jeff Bezos has a lot of Capricorn, and there's a lot of the going into space with which is not Capricorn, but it just made me think of him. That's the Sagittarius moon, which is the energy of exploration as well, which I hadn't talked about that with Sag rising manifest destiny, but now we got to go into space. Okay. But Capricorns manifest in real and tangible ways. Yeah, BB Newirth. Now my mind is just filled with endless Capricorns. Okay. Jason Bateman, that's so funny. Yeah, my mind is filled with this. Anyway, everyone in the group, you got to step up to the plate and help make things a reality. Okay. That's what Capricorn can do. Right. And it's like, it's, you know, it allows for real achievement in a real way. Okay. So that gives a very strong foundation when we have Capricorn energy. Okay. Wow. All right. Okay. Now let's do, here we go. Let's get a house. Let's get an area of experience where we can give a little extra attention to. Oh my goodness. All right. Okay, here we go. All right. Okay. Oh, man. Oh, Jupiter. Oh, beautiful. Well, Jupiter's in Pisces right now, and Jupiter's connected to Sag too. Jupiter, as I say, Jupiter is hope. It's optimism. All right. We all need to. I know some terrible things are going on in the world, but this means we have to maintain our hope. We must remain optimistic. Okay. That our actions can be fruitful and that we can do wonderful things. Okay. And Jupiter is also, it's connected to the Sag tolerance. It's connected to blending or coexisting, right? Because Jupiter is long distance travel, which means you can travel in your mind, or you can, connect it to space with Sag, But Jupiter, is also connected to beliefs. And in that way, we really want to connect with our message, and it's connected with publicity and publishing. So what is your message? And share it in writing, communicate, lecture, teach, learn. That is beautiful. Okay. I mean, this is a really wow, because so these are messages that we are being encouraged to embrace, to have the richest experience this new moon, right? So if that's how you use these messages, it's saying the best that we can, let's connect to these energies. Okay. And when you think of plans, it's like all this, generally Virgo comes into mind with the plans of like, we're going to do plans, right? But, well, Elizabeth Warren has Taurus. She's always talking about plans. But Earth, it's like, go ahead and do the spreadsheet. It's like Earth is, even in King Richard, it's like King Richard, he had a plan for Venus and Serena Williams, right? It's like, get a plan, go watch Bottle Rocket. Dude, that was like a 70-some-year plan, that one character. Oh my God. It's like, okay, well, we don't have to do that. That's a very big plan, but let's just do, but it's like, yeah, do a plan. That's when we get Earth. If you're pulling Earth cards, then practical steps to getting something done. That is gorgeous. Okay. Now I think I said I was going to get a house, but obviously I pulled from a different, but we're going to go with that. So I put them in piles, and okay, I think this is, let me pick. Yes. Okay. This is the house deck. Now we're going to get a house. That happens sometimes. Okay. Because I got a lot going on here. All right. Let's see. Oh, let's see what else I wanted to talk about. Oh yeah, you know what? And there was so much wonderful stuff at the Oscars. Like I haven't seen Coda yet, but I was a special needs teacher, and I mean, I can't wait to see that. And then Troy Kotzer won, and he was even saying things. Coda is all about a lot of deaf actors are in Coda, and then Marlee Matlin was saying it was really important to her that if you play a deaf character in that, you're really deaf, right? So there's so much to celebrate with the Oscars when we consider the diversity that's happening, and that deaf actress got to play deaf. And now Troy Kotzer was saying that he did theater. I haven't seen theater by deaf companies, but I have seen shows by companies who are blind, and the theater was amazing. So I mean, this is, it was a lot to celebrate. Yeah. Oh yeah, and West Side Story and Ariana DeBose, right? That was amazing. And it's funny that for West Side Story, the character Anita, yeah, Rita Moreno, and then yeah, it's like you play that, you're gonna win. It's like it's quite a character. So it shows that's amazing. I have to see that too. But that's one of my favorite musicals. Okay. Yeah, so there's a lot to celebrate. So let's celebrate the inclusiveness and all of that. Okay, here we go. All right. Oh man, let's get this. 12th house. Okay, that's gorgeous. Now, 12th house is a very sensitive house. Okay, so this is the house of transcendence. This is the house of, you know, that's a reflective house. It's also a private house. So it's saying, look, there's a lot of forward momentum. There's all this fire. Aries, we can go so fast, we get exhausted, right? So we do want to pace ourselves. We want to be patient, but we want to be active. But the 12th house is also, let's make sure that we stay connected to our spiritual health, right? Whether it's, reading a poem, right? If or actually going to church, or a temple or something like that, synagogue or whatever it is your faith is, or meditation, right? Like however you transcend and transport, which we have a lot of different avenues for that, right? Mosque, whatever you want to go. 12th house says make sure you incorporate some sensitive reflective activities so you can allow for that elevation. And it's also a path to rejuvenation. And it is the secret house. And so sometimes the 12th house is like, what are some secrets you got in your back pocket? Sometimes with this, if you get this card, you may want to share something that you haven't shared in a while, right? Or with somebody, or somebody is going to reveal a secret, right? Because this is also a secret house, right? Where it's like it's the hidden house of mystery. It's a mysterious house where it's so intuitive. If you pull the 12th house, it's connected to Pisces. You know, if you pull the 12th house card, it means a path to rejuvenation and a path to solving some of those big questions of why are we here. Is you got to feel some things intuitively as well, right? So like don't discount the intuition when you get this card. And more of the, I'll pick, even picking an oracle card is like a 12th house activity. Okay. Even picking this and allowing to be inspired by an oracle card, that's a 12th house activity. Okay. Okay. Now, where are we? Okay, here we are. All right. And of course, always connected in the new moon spread is we have the new moon card, which when we reverse it, it says, I can see clearly now, that wonderful song. The fog is lifting. You'll soon have the answers you need to make an informed decision. And boy, do I love those. Okay. So, so we have these messages to inspire us for the new moon. Now, these messages are good, yeah, for a month. They're especially potent for the first 2 weeks. The new moon is like, okay, we're looking for inspiration. And then after a full moon, we're still in dealing with the new moon energies, but there is more reflection. Okay. But we also include the spring equinox spread that we did last week because it's an equinox. Guess what? That's good for 3 months until the summer solstice, which is, yeah, my birthday. I'm a summer solstice baby, so I'll be sure to remind you of that. Okay. Oh, here, this was like that. So before we pick, we're going to pick a couple more cards for something else. But here, just to remind us, so we want to incorporate. So yeah, Taurus and Capricorns, you got to step up to the plate right now. Okay. We really need you. We need your abilities. Okay. Now we also, from the spring equinox, we need Libras and Aries. All right. So these are, and let me see what they're more. Yeah. So if you got these energies in your charts, yeah, you've got to it's heightened right now. Okay, now. All right, then let me look at some of these other. Oh yeah, look at these. Okay. And you can also check, I took a picture of these and I put them on my social media. So if you want to remember. You know, we got a lot of like, we got seventh house Venus descendant. It was amazing. And Libra, we got a lot of love energy. Okay, now just remember, seventh house is about, so we want to be really relating to people and sharing. Venus is taking Venusian actions, beautifying. Okay, we want to beautify the world, beautify our surroundings, share our love. It's incredibly loving energy. So that was a very strong message that came through with the spring equinox. And because it can, I mean, hey, it's fighting energy, Aries. Okay, so we want to make sure that we incorporate the best we can all of the beautiful. Look at that, seventh house descendant Venus. All right, this energy is available to all of us, and we're supposed to be inspired with that. Now we also got, all right, let's look at this. Okay, yeah, so all right, so I will, be putting all of these up to remind you and be reminding you periodically. Now, okay, let me check. Okay, I want to pick a couple of cards. I always like to do this to say, hey, whoever's in power, let's support them. And let's say, well, what can we do to really give them beautiful energy to put? Because that's, if you're in power, if somebody's president, it doesn't matter if you voted for them or not. They have the power to elevate the consciousness of the planet. So we want to give them love and support, and we want to do everything we can to help people in power make the best decisions they can make. Okay, all right. I'll tell you, there's a lot of there's a lot of controversy. Talking about Bob Woodward, they was talking about the 7 hours missing for January 6th with Trump, and there was like 18 minutes during Nixon apparently, but yeah. And he said, well, he'll get to the bottom of it. But like, what's like, just trying to figure out like the timeline of communication. And then of course the Ginny Thomas, I'm sure everybody heard about those. Clarence Thomas's wife, looking at her text, right? And I just want to say, one thing, it's like, because she was saying, well, she's getting a lot of criticism, one, but two things. Yeah, absolutely, Biden won, right? So she's wrong in that, yeah, Biden won. But I'll tell you, I do appreciate somebody who's a true believer and who doesn't just, oh, my person lost. Okay, now I'm going to throw you away. I do think we have, you got to support people. Like, you can't just like people when they're winning. You can't just like people when they're rich and when they're beautiful. You got to, it's like, are they there when you're sick? Are they there when you lose your money? So I like that, that she, is a true believer. She's wrong in that the facts show that Biden won. Okay. But I don't criticize her at all for passionately supporting her person, because we do all need to connect in a passionate way to the people we support. If that's how reform happens, right? So find people that you're passionate about. I always say that obsession is fine as long as it's, find people you believe in and believe in them, and things will happen. Okay. So, all right, let's pick a couple cards. We're going to pick a couple cards for our President Biden and for Kamala Harris. Yeah, and she was in the news. Oh yeah, they had the wonderful, the anti-lynching. Oh gosh, the Emmett Till anti-lynching, which I was like, well, isn't that murder? Because I'm always thinking if you're lynched, you're murdered. And it's like so complicated that no, it's like, so it covers that. So, okay, it covers it as a hate crime, and that is really important. Yeah. She and she was saying something like, yeah, if you have to have your heart torn out before a law is passed to protect you. And I was like, put me in my place. I was like, yeah, right, of course. So that was very strong. And then Cory Booker always gives such an empath, he such an empathetic, he even called out one of my Kentucky senators, Rand Paul. But yeah, so anyway, that's wonderful. So wonderful reforms are happening, and we have to celebrate those, and we have to allow those to inspire us. It's like, yeah, too little, too late. Maybe it's like that should have happened a long time ago. But you know what? We got to connect to our Jupiter optimism and hope and say, but it was done. Okay. It's and it happened, and more things like that can happen. And we have to allow ourselves to be inspired, man, by those things, no matter how long it takes. That's what I think. Okay, let's pick a card. Yeah, for our president and our vice president. Okay. Okay. Oh my gosh. Sagittarius. Look at that. How much? And he's Sag rising. And what was I even talking about? What was I even talking about today? Oh my gosh. That we have to honor that the whole bluntness of what Biden said is in alignment with the Sagittarius rising of the US chart. Wow. Okay. So so that means if we want to help our president, we need to really connect to Sagittarius energy. It is the energy of tolerance, folks. It is the energy of saying we are all so different and we're going to blend when we can. And when we can't, we're going to do the right thing. We're going to do the Spike Lee, do the right thing. And we're going to learn to coexist, right? Because if we don't, look what happens. Horrible things happen. Okay. So we're not going to burn down the pizzeria. All right. So, you know, the more that we can embrace Sagittarius energy, that's how we're going to help the president. Okay. Wow. Whew. Unbelievable. And I was talking about that. I was just talking about that. It's amazing. I was focusing on that. Okay. Let's pick a card for our vice president. And then let's see if there's anything else. Made some notes. Oh, yeah, that's funny. Yeah, Biden said there were a lot of good quotes this week. I don't normally write down so many quotes, but oh, maybe this was on Chris Jansen, I guess. Oh, the former Senator Heidi Heitkamp said that Biden had said, "Don't compare me to the Almighty, compare me to the alternative." But it's also like we kind of like have some balance, man. Really getting. Okay, here's a card for the president. Here we go. All right. Oh, man. Saturn. Oh my gosh. Okay. So, Saturn was also, you know what? Saturn was part of our spring equinox spread. All right. So if we're going to help the vice president, Saturn is karmic, but it's also saying not everything's easy. Saturn says sometimes we got to do things that are hard, right? So right now, it's exhausting to be so hyper vigilant, right? It's exhausting to live in this polarized world with all these things going on. Okay. But this is saying we got to shoulder the burden. We just we gotta say, okay, it's a bit of a burden, but we're going to do it because we're going to be responsible for the group, for the country. So so when we combine these energies, we're going to become better citizens, right? And that's going to then give the energy needed to the people in charge to make the best decisions, right? To work at their highest abilities. Wow. Oh my God. Oh, that's okay. It's amazing. All right. That's very strong. So, all right. So, yeah. So Saturn is very serious too. It means we have to be serious about making things better. Yeah. Saturn goes with Capricorn. And we got Capricorn. Here we go. We got Capricorn for the new moon spread. So if you're saying how can I help somebody and you get Saturn, right? And we got Capricorn with the new moon, it means take situations seriously. And know that if you take an action, it can have longevity. It can create a lasting foundation. So don't think that, oh, well, it doesn't matter what I do. Actually, when you get the Saturn card, what you do, it can have a lasting impact. So it really matters. Okay. So, all right. So I would say if we're going to help, let's get a little more serious and let's, really do some things. Okay. All right. I think that's like, Wow. All right. Now we just got a couple minutes. I just, since I made the notes, oh yeah, about, oh yeah. Well, I don't know if I talked about this part, but there was the article. I didn't read the article, but they were talking about it on Morning Joe, that how hecklers are silencing people. And, it's really important. I really believe we got to let people speak, and then you can like protest, right? But you got to let them speak. So you protest in an area maybe before people go in, to speak. But I'm just, it made me think of Stephen Colbert's The Art of Truthiness. It's like, go ahead and protest, but we got to let people speak, right? We've got to find that really delicate balance. Yeah, I would say, maybe the only other thing is, especially in this time, and I was just reminded of this last night because I've been so exhausted and depleted, and I had to get a podcast, and I made a mistake last week where I said, oh, Ketanji Brown Jackson, the first African American. I mean, of course I knew first African American female, okay, and I had to like edit that out for I didn't fix it in time for the radio show, but I was fixing it and I didn't have any energy, and I was like on my computer, and that's when I saw that. I was like, oh, I had the Sledgehammer version, the Harry Styles version, and so I was like, okay, let me play this. And I didn't even have to get through the song. And I like completed the podcast. I scheduled it. It was like, and then I was like able to like really focus on this new show that I was, it was like, I was totally rejuvenated. So just there's a song for every mood you're in. Okay. And songs can transmute you so quickly in just a couple of minutes. So just remember that, if you need to if you need to get focused, if you need to be energized, if you need to relax, there's going to be a song, and it can instantly change the mood, transmute, and be beneficial. And you think of Ukraine in this, war-torn country, and there's a celloist playing, or there's like a choir singing. It's like just it instantly elevates. So just, I'm constantly reminded of that, but I was just reminded of that last night. So just, for what that's worth. So, okay. All right, everybody. That's the show. Until next time, enjoy and embrace. Yeah, we're gonna fearlessly embrace transformation and passionately, sorry about that, fight for what is right.